Okay, so here we are. My mom's getting some chalk over there. So we're doing some deadlifts today. And there was a discussion we were having about, well, here, let me show you guys this first. So we're going to do what's called dead stop deadlifts, where in between the reps, she lets the weight set, but so she doesn't balance it, but she also doesn't take her hands off the bar. So this is just good medium work for reinforcing the pattern of a good deadlift and giving time under tension to the muscles. So there's one. So she'll touch. Two. One more. Touch. Three. Excellent. Good. So that gives her some tension on the muscles, good repetition practice, kind of a whole good base medium workload for the deadlift. Now we're walking down here. Her walk is like an active rest. She's going to grab a dumbbell and do uneven walking lunges. So what we were talking about earlier was a lot of times when you look at people in the gym, and this would be any gym, just gym in general, is there's kind of a separation sometimes between information versus intensity. So sometimes people have great information, but they just don't work very hard. So they need to push themselves a little bit harder, find that next level of kind of uncomfortableness, and push themselves to really challenge themselves. So they'll do lifts that sometimes look perfect, but that just means their current body is good enough. So they have to do things that actually challenge them harder to get a new body. Then there's people who bust their ass, but they're busting their ass with the wrong things. So we were talking about that idea of which do you have in your training? Do you have great information, but maybe not the best intensity? Or do you have great intensity, but maybe not the best information? So it's something to consider and think if there's anything you need to address to change it. Okay, so here we are. We're coming back for another set. So we talked about her intensity on the last one. It was good. But now we're starting to kind of increase the intensity more so to use up the best of her abilities for today. So again, like I mentioned already, was if your current body can do what you're asking it to do, why would it ever change and get better? So you have to present it with a challenge that forces it to improve. Okay, we're going to go for 5 reps. Nice, good form. Good, big push. Good, squeeze the butt in. 1. Push, butt in, 2. Push, butt in, 3. Push, butt in, 4. Push, butt in, 5. Excellent job. Pretty good. 275 for 5. So she's going to come on down and do the lunges now. So when you're doing workouts, you need to present your body with a challenge. You have to give it a reason to change and adapt to whatever the stimulus is you're asking of it to do. So an example of this that I've used before, an analogy, is homework. So if I want a kid to get better at math, okay, and I only give them one homework problem, that really isn't enough of a challenge that they're really going to learn much from that. However, if I told them to do all of the problems in the math book in one night, that's way too large of a challenge. They're never going to be able to get it done. They'll be overwhelmed, and they can't fully adapt to the best of their abilities. So what we're doing with our workouts is we want to present a challenge that our current body says, holy freaking crap, this is horrible. If they were to do this all the time, I won't survive. I need to get better. However, we don't need to be on the floor dying and puking all the time because our body can't adapt to that extreme of a stimulus. So, again, with the information versus intensity concept, which do you need more of? If you have good information but you're not really intense, up your intensity. See if you can get more out of the information you have. If you're a very intense person, but you're not making the progress that you felt like you should, then maybe you need to take a look at your information and see if there's a way in which you can get better, more personalized information that might better address your needs. Okay? So it just gives you some food for thought. So which do you need more of, intensity or information? Okay, hello. So I just asked my mom, was if somebody watched the video of her doing those sets, and it actually looked almost easy, how would she explain to them what it felt like internally to know that it was a good intensity? So what was your answer?
If I had to do one more rep, my form would have broke down.
Yep, so we talked about that's kind of the idea. is you have to work so hard to keep really good form and technique that you're right on the verge of kind of like breaking down and losing it. That's when you know you're at the right intensity. So sometimes people will talk about RPE scales and all this other craziness and whatnot. But just know in your mind that you got to the very edge of what you could do safely. And if you were to try one more or like 5 more seconds or whatever the measure of marker of measurement, whenever you're just about to break down, that's actually the right intensity.
Right.
Cool. Okay.
Right.
Give that a try.